Welcome everybody, this is How to English with Gavin M.
It's a podcast about teaching and learning English as a foreign language.
All opinions stated are personal and source materials will be referenced where possible.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you too.
Good.
Excellent. Shall we start?
Yes.
Okay, right. So this episode we have a topic which we've decided is teach and learn in groups. Mm-hmm. Yes. But before we start, we should thank everyone for listening. Or does that come at the end? Oh, I never know what to do.
You can do, okay, whatever you want, it's fine.
We can do it however we want.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a good
Or
plan.
however you want, I think.
Well, I wanted to say, you remember I mentioned a few episodes ago, there was a bit of a competition between our listeners.
You're really making it sound like something much more than it is, but yeah.
Well, it's a kind of competition. There are obviously
It's
nations
not.
are competing.
It's really not a competition. It's the absolute antithesis of a competition. Nobody knows they're in it. It's not got any prize. It's not a competition, but go on.
Well, it sort of is. Okay. Well, maybe they're like secretly working together to be the most popular, the largest group of listeners to our podcast. How do we know?
Sounds like a conspiracy theory.
Okay, right, forget
a lot
it.
of them, too many of them.
I just wanted to thank listeners from, I think I've got a top 8. Should we do the top 8 listening countries?
Whatever you want, yeah.
Okay, so at number 1, we've got...
No, you've got to go backwards. Sorry, that if you're going to do some sort of chart, it's got to start from 8 and go to 1.
At 8, we've got Italy.
Woo.
At 7, Japan.
Woo.
6, Brazil.
Yeah.
5, United Kingdom.
Woo.
4, Iran.
Wow.
3, France.
Yeah.
2, the Czech Republic. Oh no! Oh, I did that round the wrong way.
Oh my God.
At 2, maybe we'll just cut it and they'll never notice. At 2, the United States, and at number 1,
I think I know.
the Czech Republic.
Yay! Well done, Czech Republic.
Okay, so the Czech Republic are winners so far.
We can't have Eurovision, but we can have this strange, random, mistakenly said list.
I know. I need to practice this kind of stuff, don't I? All right, should we just move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so teach and learn in groups.
Yeah.
Right, you're going to start.
All right. Well, it's terrifying, I think, for a teacher sometimes. And it's also terrifying for a student, I think, to walk into a group in the first lesson.
Yeah.
And have to be like, it's like when you're at school, isn't it? And you're 5 and you get pushed into this situation with lots of people you don't know. And well, it was for me anyway.
I can't remember.
I hated it. But I think it's a bit like that. It must be a bit like that as a student.
Yes,
you
especially if you turn up late.
Yeah, and you have to go in and make friends and tell everybody who you are.
Yeah.
And it's all, I mean, that's what a teacher can do, I think. They can take that pressure off.
Okay.
So there's not that stress on the students to have to do that. So, I mean, more often students just turn up, sit down, not talk to each other.
Yes.
And then it's up to you as a teacher to walk in and make that group bond.
Unless they already know each other. We're thinking.
True.
Yeah, you're suggesting that these are all a big bunch of strangers that are all walking into the room together.
Well, there's different ways.
Why are they choosing a group lesson?
I think for some people it is a way to meet people, isn't it?
So it's a good socialising event, or
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's that. It's cheaper
good what
than one-to-one lessons.
is it?
Yeah, usually.
Oh, so they can
they-
share the costs.
Yeah.
So actually, if they were friends, they could all sort of work it out between them and
Yeah,
decide.
but have you ever taught a group of friends ever in your life?
Not a big group of friends, but a small, like 2 or 3 people that were all kind of friends or colleagues, and they shared the cost between them.
All right, but I don't think it's typical as a general English group in a company that you would work for as a teacher to have a group of people that know each other. I think the kind of typical group that you get is a group that are completely new to each other, in my experience.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you don't have groups who are
Yeah, I'm
already
not saying
friends.
you don't.
It's
I'm
possible.
just saying it's not typical.
It's not typical, but we can think outside the box.
I know, I'm not talking about possible and impossible. I'm just saying typical and say unusual.
Okay.
So the norm, I would say, is a group of people that don't know each other.
Yes.
And then you as a teacher, you have to go in there, and that's quite intimidating, for me anyway, if it's a big group, but I would say big group more than 10.
Okay.
Maybe even like 8. It's a bit sort of daunting the first time. And you have to be very confident and you have to be very authoritative, but not in a bossy, strict, kind of horrible teacher type way.
Okay.
But
I would say exactly the opposite. Why not just make it fun from the beginning?
You still, even if you're making it fun, you still have to be very clear in your instructions. You have to be very good at telling people what to do. And in a group, that can be quite hard. You have to be an alpha, don't you? I think, at least for the first couple of lessons.
Alpha.
Yeah.
Okay, take control of the situation.
Exactly. Because we've all been there where even, with groups you've had for a long time and they're all just chatting to each other. And that is when they get to know each other, that they start getting friendly and they do chat. And then you've got to try and keep control or get their attention. And you have got to stand up and be like...
That sounds like a perfect lesson if they're all chatting with each other.
They could be doing it in their own language before the lesson starts. And then when the lesson starts, you've got to be like, OK, right, now we're doing this.
Is that where you tap the board with the chalk?
I don't do that, no.
What can you do then?
I'm not a board tapper.
Do you drop something?
I usually just kind of look at them, like, why are you still talking?
I think in China I used to raise one hand.
Oh, well, that's nice.
And that worked really well. But I'm not sure that works for everyone. I'm not suggesting that that's for all Chinese people.
Yeah, I mean, of course you raise your voice and you say, "Okay, everyone."
Yes,
then it depends how loud it is.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, that's what I do. And if that doesn't work, then I start kind of just looking at people.
Okay, pick the most dominant student and.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about that, like the dynamics of the group. And
is that a good segue, or should we?
Well, I don't know if we've finished with
the
everything,
last bit?
but
Okay.
yeah, I think it is important to recognise personality types.
Yes.
And know who's going to be the one that you're going to have to say, please stop talking so much, and the ones that's in there's the teacher, and the students that are very good at encouraging others to talk are very helpful. And then there's always the student that doesn't want to talk and that's very introvert.
Types of students.
Yeah, but that's what you see in a group, isn't it?
You
get all the spectrums of people, not just students. I think it's just types of people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, because there's different types of teachers, different types of students.
Yeah.
And the teacher needs to, like you said, figure out who to put together or who to lead the class. I mean, use the students to your advantage if you're a teacher. But
you have to do that very quickly and very, you have to know straight away, don't you, as a teacher?
Yeah, helps.
And it is sort of I don't know if it's a skill you have already, but it's definitely a skill that you hone to actually be able to do that as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And obviously you do make mistakes and you think, right, I'm never putting those two together again.
Yeah,
but
definitely learn from experience.
Yeah. But I think it does help, as you go along. As you get experience.
Did we mention this in a previous episode? We said, I think I remember saying you shouldn't put certain students together. And
I think you said
being together.
Certain combinations that work better.
Yeah.
And you mentioned as well about, hierarchies in businesses and stuff.
Yeah.
And that can be a bit of a problem in a group lesson in a business.
Should we mention that we're focusing mostly on adults?
Yeah.
In all of our episodes? Because we don't really mention kids, do we?
No, well, we don't really teach kids, do we? So, yeah, but then, teaching a group of kids it still applies. They've all got their own personalities.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. We're focusing mainly on adults.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. When you're describing it, I'm picturing a group of adults, as you said, walking in together, and then the teacher maybe is identifying who are maybe the more confident students or the shyer students. That's it, exactly.
Yeah. So how do you get your students to bond?
I get them to talk to each other. A bit like, I remember you mentioned introducing each other, asking questions. If they're naturally asking questions, then just leave them to do it. leave them to talk to each other. You'll find that they've got a lot in common. And like you said, it could be more of a social event. They're like meeting people, they're enjoying time together. So
you say leave them, but I still think you need to at least give them a task or something. I mean, keep it going if it's happening and it's natural and they're enjoying it.
Yes.
As a group, but you do need some form of structure there. I think.
Yeah, teachers should guide them, but don't be afraid to let them continue talking. If they're there for the purpose of communicating, then that's absolutely, you've done your job. Just leave them talking for the rest of the lesson.
I don't know if I completely agree. I mean, you've done your job as in you've created a good environment. You've created an environment they're happy to talk, but you've still got to show that you're there as a teacher to teach them something. Because I've had groups that have
It depends what the objective of the lesson is.
Right, but I've had groups that have been really good at talking to each other. There wasn't a problem with, fluency, but then all they're doing is just talking, and it's like they're at the pub and there's no correction. And I have to sort of really step in and think, right, I'm going to have to stop them now.
Yeah.
And I hate it because, when it's buzzing and it's all
really
it's
terrible,
nice,
isn't it?
and you're like, okay, now look at the mistakes on the board.
Yeah.
It's like,
But that could be at the end, say, all right, I want you guys to talk for 15 minutes and then we're going to do some practice or something.
Yeah.
Or even that little micro teaching thing where the teacher walks around and sort of but becomes part of the little groups that are talking.
Yeah.
And they say, maybe they could correct some of the language there, but without interrupting too much the flow of the lesson.
Yeah.
But you asked me a really good question. How do I sort of get the students bonding? How do you do it?
Did you answer that question?
I think I just said make them introduce themselves to each
that was
other.
it.
I think that's really important. Like,
Yeah.
they should talk about themselves, about their interests, about their families, just the normal things that get people sort of familiar with each other.
Yeah, as we've mentioned before, it's just take the focus off teaching, like the teacher at that point. I think at any opportunity, just get them, the students, talking to each other, even if you're like going through an exercise, not just first lesson, I mean generally now. If you're doing an exercise, don't read the instructions to them, get them to read the instructions to each other, and just to kind of always put it on them to communicate. I sometimes just say to one student, right, you read the instructions for this task, and then I want you to tell everybody else what they've got to do. So
that sounds kind of opposite to what you said before. You said the teacher should be dominant and take control. You're actually giving control to the students, which I completely agree with. And I
was specifically talking about the first lesson.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
I wouldn't say that's a thing to do all across the course. I think you've got to do it at the beginning to show that you have got that control.
Yes.
But then, good point, Gav. You kind of gradually release that control. Once you've set up the class and you've set up how you want it to go, and you've helped them, like, we'll maybe get back to how you bond them, but once you've created that bond and you know they're really going to work well together, I think it's just your job to just give them something interesting to do, and do as little as you can. Yeah. Except for when they need help or when they're making mistakes. Yeah. Setting up tasks, I just say to one student, read it, explain it to everyone else. Or even if you want in pairs, one person read the task and the other one explain what to do. I'm a big fan of just giving one person something that they have to then communicate to other people.
Okay. Not the same one each time, though?
No, you vary it. But it's just so much more authentic, that in any situation in life, somebody's got the information that the others don't have, and you need to communicate. And that's a really good thing, apart from everyone reading it and then rephrasing it like a parrot, it's not really necessary if they all know what they're doing. Okay. I think I've finished on that point. What else?
I like this idea of bonding, and maybe we're talking about reducing the pressure, reducing the tension that is there maybe in the first lesson or the first few lessons, and so they just feel really comfortable with each other.
Yeah, so how should we get a bit more into like how you do that?
Yeah, definitely. We could talk about how you arrange the students. So we place them.
Do we place them? I don't know. I suppose we
I
do.
do, yeah. I do any lesson before the students arrive. I'm always sort of straightening the chairs and making sure the tables are straight. I know you've got a bit of a thing about whiteboards.
Have I?
Yeah, don't you spend hours like cleaning them?
Oh, well,
Is that a secret? Sorry.
I wouldn't say I do unless they're filthy and not usable. And I think, well, I just want it to look nice.
Yeah, well, some teachers don't even erase the previous thing that they wrote.
I hate that, if you walk into a lesson the first time and it's just a mess.
Yes.
The board's a mess.
Yes.
The chairs are not sort of in a way that looks inviting.
Yeah.
You've got to look for somewhere to sit. You don't know where to put your bag. As a student, it's horrible.
Yeah, and I think just from experience walking in and seeing what's written on the board is actually quite fascinating, though, and trying to imagine what the previous lesson was about, because it's such strange words are on there sometimes.
I don't always wipe away everything. Sometimes I do. If I've got a group or a student, I'll be like, well, what do you think that lesson was
that's good.
about?
I like that. Oh, yeah, that's really clever. So you can actually sort of teach. You spend the first 5 minutes sort of teaching the previous lesson.
Such a good resource.
Oh, that's really clever.
Or if you're in a business, like a company, and they've had a meeting and there's some kind of weird diagram, and you're like, "Did you go to that meeting? What do you?"
Do you? I never talk about it because I think
I
think it's like confidential. And
well, if it was confidential, they should have rubbed it off the board, shouldn't they?
Okay, that's a good point.
Just open for anyone, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, it's great.
Gav, would you like a tea?
I only drink coffee.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that could be arranged.
Oh?
Followers, if you enjoy listening, watching, or reading Gav and M's How to English Pod, visit coffee.com/How to English Pod.
That's coffee, ko-fi.com/How to English Pod. And it would be lovely if you bought us a tea or a coffee to show us support. You could even get a mention on our show if you'd like. So the teacher is arranging the seats. The best way to sort of communicate to the students how they're going to be operating in that lesson. So they could be in little clusters, little groups of tables.
Yep.
They could be all facing the teacher. Depends what the lesson is. Depends how the teacher typically teaches.
Yeah, I quite like, I think, the famous horseshoe shape, but
Yes.
I quite like having two chairs sort of opposite each other in a horseshoe.
Oh.
So they can sort of look at you at the front, but then they've got the opportunity to sort of look at each other when they're doing pair work.
There's something I do is I don't let the students sit in the same seats.
How do you do that?
I tell them to sit in different seats.
So you remember where they sat the week before, or the?
Well, I
lesson
just
before?
don't. I never have the same students always sit in the same seats because I think it creates this
my question:
weird.
How do you Do you remember where they sat before then?
Yeah, because you week after week, you're suddenly thinking, "Oh God, that student's still sitting in that seat."
Right, yeah.
Like they're deliberately sitting on the end, or they're always on the second seat so they can face you, or there's something, and it sticks in your head from the previous few lessons.
It does, yeah.
And one strategy I do is I sit on their seat.
I like it.
So they can't sit
as
there.
each one turns up, you change. That's quite hard. But I agree. We are creatures of habit, aren't we?
Yeah.
And we do just this weird thing where the first seat we sat on ever will then be forever our seat. And I've actually covered for teachers before a group lesson, and I've walked in and said, well, hi everyone, and there's been 3 students kind of really spread out, and I've said, okay, well, it looks like you're the only ones coming today. Do you want to sit together? And they're like, no, I can't. That's Miklos's seat. Really?
Oh wow!
But he's not here. He's like, no, I still can't sit there.
It's a reserved seat.
It's like, well, maybe he'll arrive, and I can't sit there.
Oh, no.
I'll just think, wow, that's really rigid, isn't it?
It is rigid, and I don't think that's useful. I think you mix it up, get them working together with a student they don't usually talk to. In this case, it's just much more fun.
Oh, it's great. And I think it's been a while since I've had a large group, but I remember that there's really nice techniques, like where you give everyone a number, or you give every other student a number, or you say you're an orange, you're an apple, you're an orange, you're a...
Or
Wait,
I want to tell.
haven't finished.
Go on.
And then you, at like every 10-minute interval, you say, right, oranges together.
Oh, I like that.
And then they all switch. And if you don't set that up at the beginning, it's
Yeah.
really hard.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, I'm comfortable now. I've put my bag down. My chair's here with my
Yeah,
coat on it. I've got all
yeah.
my pencils everywhere. And you're just like, first lesson, don't get everything out your bag
No.
because you're going to move.
Yeah.
And don't worry about your coat. You know, just put
It'll
it
be
over
safe.
there.
Don't worry.
I think it's really important to set
Yeah.
that up straight away.
And you can get them to arrange themselves. Say if the chairs are in a row, you can say to the students, right, I want you to alphabetically arrange yourselves with your first name. So Adam's first, and then Barbara's second,
Yeah.
and Colin is third. That's
Nice.
it, and they go in order.
Yeah, but keep it changing all the time,
Yes.
I think. And
Yes.
they might just roll their eyes sometimes.
They do.
Like,
They get really angry when you try and mess
but
with
they
them.
do if they're maybe tired or something. But I think if you have that, like, this is just how it's going to be attitude,
Yeah.
they don't. They really don't. They just expect it. And I've had, like, Friday night groups of conversation class where they're so happy because they don't want to sit next to, I don't know,
The same person
the
every
same
time.
person every time.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
they might get on great, but it's still like a nice opportunity for them to talk to other people.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you. So, yeah, do that if that is what you want to do. Break those habits, those unuseful habits for learning.
Can I just, I don't know if you're like with me on this, but now we're teaching a lot more online.
Yes, we are.
This is all pretty much old.
Redundant.
Redundant. So how do you deal with it online?
Breakout
Keeping it-
rooms. No. Have I jumped ahead too far?
Breakout rooms are only available on some online platforms.
Okay.
I think you haven't got that option with a lot
With
of the
most
free
them.
ones anyway.
No, yeah, that's true.
So how do you keep it? I mean, a 90-minute lesson with a group online. How do you keep it?
It's quite a long time, isn't
fresh?
it? But I still remember not to be the dominant person in the classroom. I try not to. And then I say, okay, student A, whatever your name is, I was going to talk about
Yeah, I don't
how
think
to
you
how
did,
to learn the
actually.
names. And we didn't mention any of that stuff with groups because that's really
We
important.
can.
Okay.
We can.
Or just student A asks student B a question, student B asks student C a question, and just rather than all of the information or the questions coming from the teacher, they should come from the students to the students. So that's a
Yeah.
much more dynamic and fun way to
Yeah,
teach
I think
and
just
to learn.
literally giving them those instructions. You ask you.
Yeah.
You then ask this
Oh
person.
no! You only need to start the first one, and then you say, "All right, now you continue." So then
Right.
the next person, or you nominate somebody to ask the next
Yeah.
question, or for the
And
student.
going back to what I said about giving instructions, if you just email one student that instruction, and then you get them to explain, whatever
Oh,
task,
yeah,
or
that's-
even a text or
You
something.
keep talking about instructions. You're
Well,
really
I'm-
into it.
No, that's just my one example. But like, if you're doing a text or something,
Yeah.
we talked about reading
We did,
before.
we did.
If you want to give them a paragraph each,
Yeah.
but email them separately,
Yeah.
either before the lesson
Or
if
spot
you
the difference. I do that. Get two
Yeah.
pictures that are similar but different.
Send
and you...
it to half the group.
Yes.
Sorry, yeah.
No, go on.
Go ahead.
Go on, you explain it.
No.
No, that was it. You just send them to different. So you send picture A to these 2 or 3 people, picture B to these 2 or 3 people, and then between them they have to say, well, in my picture there is a man looking at a monitor in his office, and opposite him is this, and then the other students say, oh, that's not in my picture, and it's amazing what you can do even online.
Yeah, I think.
I was going to say we sort of missed from the beginning. I was just thinking, how do you remember students' names?
Let's go back to that.
Yeah, because that in a group that could be a problem.
Yeah, I haven't actually got any really good tips for that.
Okay.
I know I write them down on a piece of paper with.
You do a little diagram, don't you? And then you
Yeah, but
write
that
them.
relies on them sitting in the same place.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's my tip. Is for the first 2 or 3 lessons, I actually do have them sit in the same seat, and then I mix it up. Once I've learnt their names.
Don't. You know what I do? I just write. I don't know.
Has a moustache.
Yeah. I don't ever write anything derogatory, just in case that piece of paper may just
I remember
find
you
its
said
way
that.
somewhere.
Yeah, I remember you
But
said
I
that.
always write a little description, but then obviously they can get a haircut or whatever. I just think you've got to use their name in the lesson
Yes.
as much as you can. But if you just keep saying it,
And also get them to say your name, or you repeat your name. Because I know my name's a little bit like Gav, or the full name is Gavin, is quite difficult for students to say sometimes. And I say to myself in front of the students, okay, if you have any questions, just say, Gavin, I've got some questions. Can you tell me what this is in English, etc. So make sure the students know your name, and make sure your teacher knows your name somehow. Okay, so that's good. Moving on. I was going to say things like there's less pressure with group lessons. It might build your confidence because you've got more of your peers to talk to as a student.
Okay,
yeah,
I don't know whether it builds your confidence as a teacher, but yeah.
Well, yeah, it would do. I think for both of them. Like, imagine having a big group compared to a one-to-one.
Yeah, all right, yeah. After you get over the nerves, it does.
Well, it does. That's how you build your confidence, by, jumping in the deep end, as they say.
Yeah.
So that's good. If you want to, as a teacher, you can do a lot of pair work with the students, and like we said, mix them up so they've always got a different partner to work with.
Yeah, and that's a good tip, I think, if you're not getting that good relationship. Sometimes groups just are not bonding.
Yes.
I think you have to just keep mixing them up and try new games.
And another advantage, before we get on to games, because I know you're going to mention this, is it could be less intense in the way for a student, because sometimes they can just sit there and listen. They're not constantly talking as they would in a one-to-one.
Yeah.
So that's nice. And you can listen to other students. You might learn some new words or new phrases.
Yeah.
The downside, of course, is that you might learn a few mistakes and you might pick up some errors.
Yeah.
But hopefully the teacher will support you and correct any of those mistakes. So I always think that's really good, because I often hear some students use really good language and I say, oh, that was a really good expression. Write it up on the board. Make sure everybody knows how to use that. That's great. I really like that. Mm-hmm. And they can chat together rather than just chatting with the teacher. So you've got students chatting with each other, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the teacher might be boring, to be honest with you. You might, once you've talked about your family and your pets and your job, then what else have you got to talk about? So you can talk to other people, other students.
Okay.
Okay. I was going to mention also, because you said about teaching online, with some of the platforms, you might forget the students there, because you can only see some of the pictures of the students.
Good point.
Write their names down in case, and then go through your list on the piece of paper if you're the teacher, and just make sure you've asked a question to all the students, or you've included all the students.
Yeah, that is a very good tip.
Thanks.
Totally would advise that. I've just totally forgotten what I was going to say. I had something.
That's all right. I'm going to keep improvising while you think
Yeah,
about
all
it.
right.
Well, although I wanted to ask you, what's the biggest group you've ever taught?
Probably 30.
Really? That's like school kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a group like that, and not easy.
Okay. So
what about you, Gav?
Well, I was just going to say that must be quite hard if 30 of them.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so it's a lot of things like chanting and repeat after me and
Yeah,
heads
well,
down.
For children, that was children, but I mean, can you do the same for adults?
To repeat after me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that a lot. I remember with the big groups, I used to have groups of 18 adults. I think that was maximum. And we would do a lot of pronunciation because the students were really into it. I think one thing I didn't do very well with some of my groups is I didn't talk enough. Because I was really into having them talk together, so they were practicing speaking English. I thought that's why they were there, but I actually got some negative feedback, which was the teacher doesn't talk enough. So then that sort of reminded me that the students are there also to listen to you speak and listen to your accent, and when the teacher uses some really good language, that will inspire them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
2,000 kids.
What?
That was the maximum I've ever taught.
Scary stuff. God.
It was the Christmas special evening, and I had the entire school in front of me, and I had a microphone, and I think I had a Christmas hat on, and I divided them into two, and I said, right, you lot, what's your name? And they all went, my name is, and they all said their names, and they said, right, you lot, how old are you? And they said, I am years old, like that. It was really amazing, and I was terrified, and I absolutely loved it. And then we sang a song together.
Intense.
Never again.
Wow.
Okay. So should we summarise? Should we say some of the advantages and disadvantages? Or I think we covered a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's definitely, I'd say there's a lot of advantages that we've mentioned and not many disadvantages.
No, not really. I think we've already discussed, when it's not working and how you need to get them to bond. But then it's also when it's working really well and they're just taking over.
Yes.
And you still have to find that way of getting them back to doing what you want them to do.
Yeah.
So, it's really important to set up that dynamic at the beginning, I think.
Definitely. So get the balance of teacher-led, but student enjoyment and students controlling their own.
Student-centred, teacher-led. I like that.
Student-centred, teacher-led.
I think.
Or is it the other way around?
No, I don't know. But that sounds good.
It sounds really good.
Yeah.
We should copyright that. Okay. So, I think probably next week we're going to cover one-to-ones, aren't we?
I think we are. I just remembered what I was going to say.
What was it?
Okay. It's taken me all this time. I think for working with adults, it's a really good thing when you cross over from, and I know we do a lot of business, but team building skills are really, really good in English lessons.
They are.
So if you've got any of those kind of training, make a tower out of marshmallows or something, or I don't know, just like you're all on a square over that side and
Desert island.
You've got to move, that sort of thing. You've got to move over to this side of the room using only 3 movements or something. I don't know, just where they've got to actually solve a puzzle and apply language to a problem-solving thing. It's so good for groups to do that. There's loads of fun you can have with it.
You can't do that on your own if it's a one-to-one. It's not exactly the same, is it?
One-to-one is next week.
Yes,
but it's not always about, the resources for teachers is great, but you can get some really good resources from business training websites about team building or, management training to how to get your group to bond.
That's good.
Just maybe try that.
And that doesn't have to be for business students. It could be for general. No, of course
not. Anybody. Okay. But I think a lot of, student books and other books for English are taking those techniques anyway. It's happening.
That's good. All right then. So
I'm going to shut up now.
No, you don't have to. But it's quite a long episode, isn't it? I feel really bad when they're long. Anyway,
okay.
They can always
we
put it on fast
didn't talk
forward.
about games. You wanted to talk about games.
We'll save it for another. Maybe we'll do a whole episode about games.
Yeah, good, because I haven't written any down, so I need to think about
it. It would have to be from. Yeah, we'd have to think about it first. All right. So I wanted to thank all our lovely listeners and some of our followers. Well, all of our followers on Instagram. We have Alice and Renan and Teresa, Ivana. So thank you to all of them for all their lovely things that they wrote about our podcast, and we're glad that they're enjoying it, and we're enjoying everyone listening. So thanks to everyone. Thanks to you, Em.
Thank you, Gav.
Take care.
Okay.
See you next time.
See you. Bye.
Bye.